Hello and welcome inside a virtual Red Zone. I'm your host, Alex Campbell, and while this isn't quite our usual setup, what will be normal this week is that we're talking about another Cardinals victory, a 48-7 win for North Central over the Ithaca College Bombers in the quarterfinals of the NCAA Division III Football Championship. The win was highlighted by 5 total touchdowns for sophomore quarterback Luke Lanin, including 3 throws to D'Angelo Hardy and another dominant Cardinals defensive performance. Later in the show, I'll be joined by junior center Jarod Thornton and sophomore linebacker BJ Adamchik to break down the game from their perspectives as we look ahead to a Stagg Bowl rematch in the semifinal. But first, here's my weekly chat with head coach Brad Spencer. It is now time to welcome in head coach Brad Spencer. Brad, thanks as always for being here despite some strange circumstances. Welcome back to the Red Zone for one final time this season.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
So your team this week is going to host a national semifinal for the first time in program history. When you think back to when you first took the head coaching job and at the beginning of the season, the way this year has panned out, how is it compared to what you ideally imagined it being?
Well, we're still playing football, and that was the goal at the beginning of the season or back in January is to keep playing in December and obviously play as long as we can, with the goal being the Stagg Bowl again for the 3rd year in a row. Guys have done a great job, players and coaches and staff, really proud of everybody for what we've accomplished to this point and putting ourselves in a position to be where we want to be. These 5th-year seniors deserve that. They've worked for it. They've totally raised the standard and expectations of our program here over the last 4 or 5 years. So we're excited for this week, just excited for every single day to prep and get ready to play what we feel like is one of, if not the most talented football teams in the country, and certainly excited to have our chance to play them again. Obviously, we all are not happy with the result walking off the field last December 17th, and here we are with that rare opportunity to be able to get a little bit of revenge.
So this will be your 4th straight playoff game at home, 5th straight home game overall. I know that after the win over Ithaca, Ethan Greenfield said he'd happily play this game in a parking lot. He doesn't really care where it is. But to be able to play at home every week in the postseason in front of your own fans, what are the advantages to that for your team in terms of preparation outside of the obvious stuff?
Sure. Well, I'd agree with Ethan. We just want to be playing football, and I think if the last couple of years has taught us anything, it's that our football team can go on the road and win football games in November and December. So, like he said, we're just going to be ready to play the game on Saturday, but certainly excited to be able to be at home. It's great for our institution. It's great for visibility for North Central. It's great for Naperville. It's great for our fans and family, obviously. And there is some realities that it's nice to be able to be in your own bed, your own offices all week. We're not leaving on Thursday. You don't have to push up and move game plans, prep. You can pretty much keep things on time and on schedule like you always do. So there is a little bit of comfortableness to that, I suppose. But at the end of the day, whatever the challenges or obstacles are, whether you're at home or away, at this point in the year, you just have to overcome them and get the job done. But certainly happy to be able to be at home and have it be another thing that North Central College football has accomplished, which is a semifinal football game at home. But I'm going to agree with Ethan on that one. We're just happy to be playing, excited to be playing, excited that we're in the position we're in, and we're right where we had planned and most importantly worked to be. I think that's the most important thing, is that our players and staff have worked their butts off all hours of the night, all year, to get to where we're at.
So let's dive into this past week's game, a 48-7 win over Ithaca in the quarterfinals. This game begins with a 90-yard, 13-play, 6.5-minute touchdown drive. Particularly as an offensive coach, in your mind, is there any better way to start a football game than what you guys did out there on Saturday?
Points are points, so you're happy with the points regardless. But especially being on our own 19, having 4th down, going for it. There was really no doubt in my mind that we were going to be going for that, and I had confidence our guys were going to pick up that 1st down and I think gave them a little kick in the pants, and our guys really ramped up a little bit of momentum and excitement from there, and rolled down the rest of the field, and kept our defense off the field. If you look, that was one of the keys of the game. I thought was we had 42 minutes of possession to their nearly 17. You're winning a lot of football games doing that. So proud of our guys for starting fast. That was an objective for the offense this week, was to get points on our first drive, and we were able to do that. And then our defense came out and did what they've seemingly been doing just about every single week lately. Stop them, and then we're able to keep rolling and take a nice lead into half. Really just didn't execute there a couple of times at the end of the half, but guys regrouped, understood the message at half, and came out and slammed the door, winning 20-0 in that third quarter, and putting ourselves in the position right now.
Obviously, the two guys who, really lit up the stat sheet on Saturday as you guys put up those points were Luke Lanin and D'Angelo Hardy. How is the passing attack able to continue to be so successful, despite the fact that there is so much focus on D'Angelo, who is eating up most of those yards on those passes?
Well, I mean, I think because of the run game. You look at what our offensive line, our tight ends are doing. You look at our stable of running backs. It's not just Ethan and Terrence, but Chisholm and Sacco. Those guys are all contributing as well. I think there's a lot of focus on stopping the run, getting enough hats in the box, and then from there we're able to work to try and get our receivers open. It's nice to see Nick Rummel have a couple of catches and touches, and get some other guys involved as well. So I think it's just a matter of continuing to have some balance in what we're doing. Obviously, Luke's ability to run the football brings a whole nother dynamic to trying to defend us. You can't just look at what we're doing in the box with the running backs, but also what Luke can do with his legs, and also what he can do when plays break down, whether we're on the perimeter, moving the pocket, or, whether our concept's covered and he's able to escape and get outside the pocket. He's certainly shown that he can make plays that way too. So I think it's just a combination of having different weapons and using them and spreading the ball around and trying to, put pressure on a defense vertically and horizontally on the football field.
Yeah, I wanted to talk more, of course, about Luke's ability to run the football. The second week in a row that he sets a new personal single game record for rushing yards. I thought his read decisions looked really confident in this game. And, from my view, I thought he maybe batted 1,000 in the game in terms of making those choices correctly.
Yeah.
What did you see from him in this game that allowed him to top last week's very impressive display?
Yeah. It'd be great if he'd do that again this week. I mean, we're doing some good things on offense, but I think it just goes back to his preparation. He knows what he's looking at. It's his third year in our offense, second year starting, and he knows what he's looking at. He knows what the defense is trying to do, and I think he said it in our interview Saturday after the game, when teams are focusing so much on 8 and 42 and 24 and 22, it can open things up for him. And he's just putting his eyes in the right spot. It's the key to being a quarterback. It's key to really any position on the football field is, putting your eyes in the right spot. It's one of the most undercoached things in football. But if your eyes aren't where they're supposed to be, you're gonna have a hard time doing your job. And fortunately right now he's doing a nice job of putting his eyes where they need to be, reading his keys, and making the right decisions. And then it helps that he's one of the fastest guys on the field each week. I mean, he can move. We've all seen that. That helps too.
Then on a less positive note, penalties were certainly a part of this game. Several holding calls, which I don't need to get into my own thoughts on, negating big runs for Ethan Greenfield in particular. Then there's an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty that ends up helping Ithaca to score their lone touchdown of the game. Of course, none of these end up having much of an impact on the outcome at all. Does that change, though, how you talk about them this week as you're reviewing the film and trying to do everything just a little bit better going into the next week's game?
Yeah, those are always things that you look at. That's kind of part of your role of things to check off and make sure that you're coaching throughout the week, especially the personal fouls and, the things after the play is dead. Those things absolutely are unacceptable and have to be and are corrected. With the penalties are 9-2. It's a little surprising, I'd say. I like to remind the guys that we can do our jobs as well. We have good football players out there too. So I felt it was a little bit lopsided. I let the refs know that. They did not know what the ratio was at that time, but fortunately it didn't really hurt us too much. But those are things we're trying to coach out of our guys to make sure that they don't hurt us down the road. But at the end of the day, it's an uncontrollable. We can't control what the refs are going to call. We're not going to worry about it. They're here. They're doing their best job. We're appreciative that they're here. They're making the best calls they can. The ones I maybe would have liked to seen call was our quarterback got hit a couple of times late without the football. As long as you're protecting the players, we're going to be pretty quiet on the sidelines. But those things happen. We know the refs are doing their best that they can. It's nothing we can worry about. We're going to do the best that we can by just preparing the best we can and playing the hardest that we can. In some games you get the call, some games you don't. That's sport.
So outside of the one touchdown, it's another dominant defensive performance that, combined with the offense rising back up to their normal output. How have you seen your team's confidence build throughout these playoffs over the last 3 weeks?
Yeah, well, it's not even just the last 3 weeks. I think you can look at, our seniors and collectively their career here, particularly the last two seasons over the last 3 years. I think that should build confidence. Their confidence should also be coming from the work that they do throughout the entire offseason. They push themselves hard. They train hard. They're around each other a lot. They're pushing each other's standards and the expectations. They're holding each other to our standards. To me, that's where the confidence should come from. Your confidence comes from preparation. You don't rise to the occasion. You fall back on your training. And if your training is strong and your training is where it needs to be on and off the field, in the film room, in the classroom, on the whiteboards, then you should have all the confidence in the world once you get on the football field. Then it's just playing free, playing above yourself, and having a lot of fun and being confident in what you're doing, and playing each play, not worrying about the last, don't worry about the next, just play that play. It's the best of your ability to do your 1/11th. And again, that goes back to really what our program's about is control the controllables, do your 1/11th. And make sure that you're in a position to block, tackle, and play really hard for your teammates. And if you do that, then we're controlling the things we can control, and we feel like that's our recipe.
All right, so Mary Hardin-Baylor this week. Lots of memories still fresh from last year. A Stagg Bowl rematch. Definitely the hardest test either team has seen all season. There's a lot of emotions that are going to be going into this game this week. How do you balance those with trying to treat it like just another game and having your guys keep their focus where it always is when they are preparing for a new opponent?
Right. I mean, the prep this week's no different. Meetings are the same. Practice is the same. I mean, each week you adjust a little bit based on, where your health is and, who you're playing. But, law of specificity, if we've been doing this all year, then we should be prepared, for this. We've had 13, run throughs for this. Not that the other games aren't hard and you're not challenged, but if your prep is always the same and your input is always the same and your process is always the same, then you don't have to get to these games or these moments and feel like you have to change anything or do anything special. You need to be you. You need to do what you need to do, and your prep's got to be really strong. Your practices have to be really strong. The focus has to be really strong anytime you're playing a team of this caliber. And it will be, because we practice it, and that's what we've done every single week. So our guys should be ready to go. They should be excited for this, and I know they will be.
And then finally, a win would mean a third straight Stagg Bowl appearance for North Central football. What would that mean to you personally in your first year as head coach? And what would it say about what has been built and is still being built at North Central?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think anytime you get to to where we're at, where you're in the Final Four and you have an opportunity to be playing to go to the national championship. Obviously, I have to be proud of that and feel like some things are going in the right direction. Me personally, it's not about me. It's my 19th year here, so I've been fortunate to be a part of it. I don't feel like any part of it is, about me. If anything, I'm trying just not to mess everything up. Want to make sure our coaches and our players are in the right spots, doing the right things, and making sure that they're prepping the way that they need to. So it's really about this group of young men and what they've been able to do and how they've come together and how they're feeding off of each other, how they're playing for each other, and just catching a little bit of that magic to hopefully get us through this weekend and on to next weekend so that we can be playing in that third national title in a row. That's been our goal. That's what we've been working for, and I know our guys are prepared and ready for the moment.
Well, head coach Brad Spencer, thanks for coming on the Red Zone, not just today, but all year, whether in person or virtual. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll see you next week in Annapolis.
Sounds great, Alex. Sounds like a good plan, and thanks to you guys and all the staff there at NCTV and all the work you do every single week. Really do a great job, and it's our pleasure to be a part of it and partner with you guys. So thank you.
Opportunity is everywhere. It is in everything and within everyone. Your opportunity is at the center of all that we do, so that you can exceed your personal best.
Welcome back, and today I welcome back two men in the middle, one in the middle of an offensive line that won the battle in the trenches decisively on Saturday, and the other in the middle of the Cardinals' consistently excellent defense. Jarod Thornton, BJ Adamchik, guys, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
So big picture first, North Central is going to host a football semifinal for the first time this weekend. What's the significance of that to you guys, and how excited are you to play the biggest game you really can play at home this weekend?
It's an honor to be playing the national semifinal here at home in Naperville. It's so much to so many people in years past, so much work they put in for us to be in this type of situation. And we just drink out of the well that they dug. So it's now that we're here in this opportunity, it's hard not to kind of be starstruck almost and just take advantage of the moment and just have fun with it because it's an honor.
Yeah, I think Jarod said it really well. It's kind of a culmination of everything that everybody else has done before us to get us to this point. We're just trying to build off of what they've already started. And, it's the first time that we've ever played in the semifinal at home. And I think that's a really big deal and something that we should cherish and something we should try to enjoy in the moment. But, we're still trying to get to the next one. So it's just another game in the grand scheme of things, but it's a really big one at that.
And we'll get more to that game in a few minutes, but first let's start talking about the win this past week, 48-7 in the quarterfinal over Ithaca. Jarod, when I just looked at the rosters and the starting lineups and saw the weight difference between your group and the four guys across from you, I had a feeling of how this game was going to go. But when you're in it, what's the experience like on a play-to-play level of dominating the line of scrimmage the way the offensive line did in this game?
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's about us, right? It doesn't really matter who's out there. We want to come out, play our brand of football and do what we do, no matter who is out there, no matter how much they weigh. So at the end of the day, it was just another day in the office for us up front, and it was good to see that we were able to get our job done.
And then, BJ, the defensive line in front of you did a pretty good job again controlling things on their side of the line as well. When they get a good push up front from your position as a linebacker, how does that change what you're seeing? How does it make your job easier when they're dominating the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, I'm super lucky. Jello and I get to play behind one of the best, if not the best D-line in the country. And we can almost count on them. It's almost guaranteed that they're going to have a great game every week. So when they're doing their job, it really makes our job a lot easier because our picture, whatever we're seeing, is super clear. We're not getting linemen working up to us really quick on double teams. We're able to read, is it run or pass? We're able to find our gaps and adjust if we need to. And it just makes our life a lot easier.
Okay, so a specific game question for each of you. Jarod, I want to ask you about Ethan's first touchdown run, where I think you ended up like 6 or 7 yards deep in the end zone with the guy you were blocking. In those game situations, are you not even thinking about the amount of yardage you have to get? It's just play to the whistle no matter where you are on the field?
Yeah, especially on the goal line. We know it's scoring time. We're on the 1 yard line. Like, you gotta give everything you got to get in the end zone. And we know if we're down there, we got four of the best running backs in the country. We got confidence that we have the best offensive line in the country, and we want to put the weight of that on our backs and our running backs, and just fight to get in the end zone. So yeah, just playing hard.
And then BJ, we saw early they were throwing a lot of wide receiver screens, a lot of bubble screens, clearly with the intent to get the ball wide to their wide receivers and try to find space that way. How was the defense able to collectively react and respond to what we were seeing on those first couple of offensive series for Ithaca?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for their game plan. They got a bunch of really fast, really shifty wide receivers. So try to get your best players the ball in space. So, I mean, smart game plan for them to try and do. But I think we were able to try to shut that down by just playing really good team defense. We didn't have guys on the perimeter trying to do their own thing and make the play. If we have our force guys keeping everything inside, and we got our pursuit coming outside in, and everybody's doing their job, staying where they're supposed to stay, and playing as a team.
So the team this season collectively, you guys have outscored your opponents 709 to 65. And that's just an insane spread in terms of margin of victory. And I know this team is in general a very humble group, but do you guys even have time in between games to take stock of how well you've played? Or does all of that have to wait till the season's over?
And we review the film on Sundays and look at things with a really critical eye. So from the outside looking in, yeah, it may look like we play like a really good game, but to us, we know it's always things that we got to fix week in and week out, and that's why we get back to square one on Tuesday to try to do that every week.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like Jarod said, we watch film on Sundays. We're super critical about it, always looking for places to get better, because up to this point, nobody on our team has played a perfect game. Nobody's graded out at 100%, which means we have plays that we've messed up on and that our teammates have messed up on. So we're always trying to call each other up to the standard and make sure that we're fixing those mistakes so we don't make the same ones next week. Just trying to correct every little thing that we can and get as close to 100% as we can.
So it's a rematch of last year's Stagg Bowl this weekend against Mary Hardin-Baylor. How have memories of the way things went last year fueled you guys individually through this season? How do you think it's fueled the team this season?
Man, that game last year, we all know how it went. And for me personally, I know once we stepped off that field December 17th last year, the only thing I could think about was getting back to this moment and playing this team again with an opportunity to rewrite that wrong and everything that I did in the off season. And I'm pretty sure everything our team did in the off season, everything that we sacrificed was all for this moment right here, for this opportunity to get back out there and win that game and prove that we should have won that game last year, and that it's over now, but we got an opportunity to do it again.
Yeah, 100% agree. My role last year was a little bit smaller. I know Jarod, starting center in the game, had a huge influence on it. My role, I was a special teams guy, so I was kind of in and out, not a huge deal. But I think walking off the field, my biggest takeaway from it was that all the seniors and the fifth-year guys and everybody who was having a major role in that game, the way that they walked off the field and knowing that they might not ever get to play football again if they were a senior, or they would never get to play if they were a fifth year. Just trying to right those wrongs and really avenge what we as a team fell short of last year. So like Jarod said, it's been on all of our minds all off season, trying to get back to this point. We knew we could do it. Now we're here. So it's just about trying to right the wrongs from last year and do what we didn't get done last year.
I will say, though, the special teams did play a pretty big part in that game. You guys did have some fireworks to start things off on D'Angelo Hardy's game-opening touchdown return. But aside from the Mary Hardin-Baylor piece, just getting to a third straight Stagg Bowl, as I asked Coach in the earlier interview, what would that say about North Central football if you're able to get back to the biggest game in D3 football for a third consecutive year?
Yeah, like I mentioned before, all the guys that came before us, like they put so much work into this program, and when I got here my freshman year, that was the first time we made it to a Stagg Bowl, and just seeing the type of program that I had just jumped into, and then understanding that we've never been there before, that kind of surprised me. It kind of shocked me because of the culture and traditions of the program and how it's ran. So like I said, I just got to give all that praise to all the guys that came before us and our seniors now, for just putting us in a position to be this successful year in and year out. And I can't wait for the opportunity to get back to another one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think it means that we're doing all the little things right. I mean, it's hard to get to a national championship once, hard to do it again a second time, and we're in a position to do it for a third year in a row. And I think that's super impressive by any team, any standard, any division, whatever it is. So I think it means we're doing the little things right. We're relying on each other as a team. We're trusting our coaches, and we're doing what we need to do in order to win every single week.
Well, BJ Adamchik, Jarod Thornton, best of luck to win this coming weekend. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week in Annapolis, and thanks so much for coming back on the Red Zone.
Thank you. Hope to see you next week.
Thank you. Can't wait.
Thanks for bearing with me and with us for a bit of an unusual conclusion to this season of the Red Zone. This week's NCAA Division III Football Championship semifinal will kick off at 2:30 p.m. on Saturday at Benedetti Worley Stadium, and if you can't be there in person, you can stream it on ESPN+. The winner will advance to the Stagg Bowl next Friday, December 16th, at Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium in Annapolis, Maryland. A huge thank you to everybody who contributed to the success of yet another season of the Red Zone here on NCTV 17 and NorthCentralCardinals.com. First to head coach Brad Spencer and all the Cardinals student athletes who took the time to come on the show, thank you and congratulations on another great season. Thank you as well to North Central Sports Information Director Clark Tusher and his entire staff for their support throughout the season. And of course at NCTV 17, thanks to Roy Kellerman, Justin Cornwell, Angela Hager, Carl Schultz, Anthony Yench, Patrick Cotto, and everyone else who helped make this possible every week. And thanks especially to everybody this week, particularly NCTV 17's Executive Director Liz Spencer, for adjusting on the fly to make this 13th and final episode a success. It's incredible to think that my second season hosting this show is already over, and I'm sure next season will be here before we all know it. But for now, thank you so much for tuning in this week and all season. I'm Alex Campbell, and hopefully I'll see you next week in Annapolis.